Good evening and welcome back to the Huddy Hui. We've been away for 3 weeks. We haven't been cancelled. We've just been busy commentating rugby, Adam, but unfortunately, we've gone back to the levels of rugby again, haven't we, with level 2?
Well, it's very unfortunate that level 3 has occurred in Auckland because that means all competition play in the city of Sales has been suspended. But elsewhere in the country, we had a full round of senior rugby, a number of finals. And in Wellington today, I was at Rongotai College against Wellington College, very willing game, 5 lead changes, 7 tries, and a result that our guest won't be too happy with. Rongotai 27-20 victors over Wellington College.
Well, that's right. Wellington College with now quite a few losses in a row and probably miss out on the top 4. We'll talk more about college rugby and club rugby very soon. But our guest tonight is South African born, moved to Wellington when he was a young man, played for the Porniki Rugby Club and made his debut for the Lions, and then out being with the Hurricanes. And he is our guest tonight, is Reggie Goodes. Reg, thank you for coming on the Huddy Hui tonight. Tell us about what you're doing with yourself these days since your professional rugby career has finished.
Yes, thanks for having me on the show. Looking forward to it. So, it's been about three years now since my last footy game. 2017 was my last game, preseason game anyway. But since then I had a few gigs, trying to find my feet. So, I finished the year with the Hurricanes in 2017, and then in 2018, basically announced my retirement. Then I went to work for Rico, so the printing company. I was there for about 6 months, and then I got a contract in Japan to coach. Luckily enough, so spent 9 months in Japan, and then after 9 months, thought it's time to come home and join the Hurricanes again. So I did an internship with the Hurricanes. So it's every year the Hurricanes take an intern for video analysis. So it's an unpaid gig, but basically working for your CV. So it looks quite good on your CV if you spend a year with the Hurricanes in video analysis. And so I did that for last season. And then after that season, I thought, probably a bit of time for a bit of change. And I need to go crack into a real job, to be honest. So, been in a role now with Kukri New Zealand, so sports apparel company, for just over a year now. And, pretty happy where I'm at the moment.
A decade of service with the Hurricanes and you have to do an internship. That's a rough gig, Reg. Now, tell us about your decision to retire, because that's a decision that was unexpected. How long did it take you to realise that you had to go, and how difficult was it to share that decision with all your fans and all the people who have appreciated your play over the years?
It's tough always. Since school I had concussions, and at a few at school. I remember played Hurricane schools, played Chief schools, and I remember Sam Kane actually cleaned me out, and I got knocked out really badly up in Auckland, in Auckland Grammar School. I was up there, and then I was spewing after the game. Felt really, really sick and headaches and things. So I had a bit of a break after that game, and then came back. Everything went well. Went to play club footy, and then played club footy. Had a few. I remember I broke my nose, but I got knocked out at the same time. I remember, probably bad to say now in hindsight, but 2010, remember it was a game I got knocked out, and then later in the game I got knocked out again. It's and then it wasn't really big protocols in place back then. Like, it's kind of your decision, and as a young guy trying to crack it and opportunities, just get on with it. And then cracked professional footy, and then my recorded concussions in professional footy was 14 concussions. So that's when they started recording it on record for a lot of our Lions and Hurricanes. And then around my 11th concussion in 2000 and, what was that? I think it was 14 or 13. He had a real bad one, symptoms for about 3 months, and I took the time off, came back, went well. Another head knock, symptoms for maybe 2 weeks, all differ a little bit. And then probably my last 3 kind of symptoms lasted for 3 to 6 months. Crusaders, that game we played round robin, we had a winner by bonus point to get a home quarter, semi and final. So it was my last competition game, Super Rugby. So I was concussed in that game. And looking at the video, it probably doesn't really look like a concussion. Kind of just carried the ball into Owen Frank's stomach, really. And then got symptoms, and that took me out with a lot of, headaches, and then, headaches, just feeling weird. And about 2 months later, I started getting, anxiety, which is also a big, symptom of that kind of thing. So I kind of fell into a kind of different type of hole. You start thinking, is it concussion or is it something else? So you start to treat two things: your mental health side plus your concussion side. Anyway, I got through. About 3 months later, I played Mitre 10 because they said, you've got to play Mitre 10 if you want to go on the Barber strip in Europe. And I thought, I need to really try to get in there. So played that, everything went well, head knocks. And then first preseason game against the Blues in 2017, I tackled, I think it was Jimmy Tupou or someone. And it was just a normal tackle, shoulder on, but, quite a good, not a dominant tackle, but a full stop tackle. And that knocked me out. And there was no clash against my head, nothing, just a shoulder, just sudden stop of movement. And that knocked me out. Concussed symptoms just lasted. So I went to Chris Boyd and said, I'm going to take the year off. And then from there, I told him I'll take the year off, but I'm going to treat it like a year pre-season. So I want to come back bigger, stronger, fitter. Around 3-4 months later, I started training, went well. And then migraines keep coming back after gym sessions. So I start seeing more specialists and things. And basically, in the story, as two specialists told me, is probably they advised me to hang my boots up. The reason is, you're getting concussions easier. So that last concussion you had would normally shouldn't be a concussion, and your symptoms are getting longer. So the next one might even tip you over. So might affect you having a normal life going forward. So I had to make the decision, and I did it with some good advice.
Have some of those concussion symptoms continued since retirement? And what's your outlet for physical activity? You're a fit guy, you're a successful guy, and suddenly the ability to train and the ability to engage in physical contact has essentially been removed from you.
Yeah, it's quite a change of life because I've done a little side gigs when I was younger and dishwashing, and but not other than a career. I never had something else. So my life was, Monday to Friday you train for a game, and then Saturday you play, and just keep repeating that with your good mates and something you love. So obviously, as soon as that, because you always have injuries, but it's as soon as you realise that's the end of it, it's kind of. I just tell myself it's going to happen one day. Just happens sooner to myself, so I have to get on with it, live with it.
And enough of that melancholy, and thanks for being so honest about what is a very difficult subject to talk about. 14 concussions is a staggering physical toll, and Hurricane supporters really ought to be very grateful for the physical and mental sacrifices that you have made. But tell us where your rugby career started, where you were brought up in South Africa, and how rugby became a prospect of opportunity for you.
Grew up in Pretoria most of my life. So, born there, went to primary school there and went 1 year of high school over there to Uffies. It's probably one of the most prestigious schools in Pretoria, like the Spear Speeds for Rita Priya, A.B. de Villiers, like big sportsmen coming from there, and also, academically and things. So went to that school for 1 year, and then my dad, he got made redundant over there. So he just had to get a job, look after the family, and the only place he actually got a job was in Wellington and New Zealand overseas. So they paid relocation, everything. My dad's like, okay, let's go. Obviously the crime's a factor, so if you get an opportunity like that, it's hard to say no. So we came over, started Wellington College in year 10, full form. And then always played rugby in South Africa. I played under 13 reps at Bulls and things, but at that age, most of those guys, there's only a few that kick on, maybe one or two. It's not like if you look at under 18s, it's be way different. But moved there, went to college, came here as about 110 kgs little kid, or big kid. And in saying that, I was big, short and big, but unfit. And obviously moving to a different country. You're learning English as you go. So I understood English. I couldn't really speak it. Didn't really have friends, so I just started training. Actually just went for runs at Botanical Gardens, actually. Shed a lot of weight. Got down, I remember, about 90 kgs. Felt good, and then went to the under 15 trials. And from there, just kind of kicked on. Played under 15s, won nationals with Wellington College that year, under 15s. And then was lucky enough to be picked in under 16s. As under 16, didn't get much game time, but was in a team. And then following year, 16s, and then made New Zealand under 17s, and I kind of just played on my pathway. Did academy at Wellington and to Lions, and into the Hurricanes. So it's probably the path people, rugby union might look at. That's the path people follow. I know everyone's got different paths. I know with Bodie, played Hurricane schools and things. He didn't get much game time then, but then a few years later, he's one of the best player in the world. Same with Brodie Retallick. When he was younger. So a lot of guys kick on a bit later, and some guys just go through the process laid out.
Tell us about your career with the Wellington College First 15 at the moment. First 15 is going through a bit of a bad patch, but tell us about the time there and some of the key memorable moments with the First 15 at Wellington College.
Yeah, so my first year when I moved here, we had under 15s. So I know it's not the first 15 and things, but that's where I made most of my friends, and I'm still friends I'm great mates with till today. And then we won nationals that year, which was first time in history. Wellington under 15s, I think a Wellington team won under 15s. And then so that was a good year. And then 2007, my first year in first 15 was had a real good year, unbeaten season, which is we dominated the Wellington comp, and then beat Palmy and all other teams, but we came short against Gisborne Boys, which was the favourite team to win nationals that year, which they did. I think they won the final by 30 points. But we drew against them in Gisborne, but they scored more tries in the game than us, so they went through. Just nothing like extra time. So it was quite devastating, but that's probably one of our best years. And then 2008, went real well again. Went to nationals, lost in the semi-final against De La Salle, and then played a third and fourth place against St. Bede's, but lost that as well. So came fourth in nationals. In 2009, there was a lot of talk about, Wellington College, this is their year to take nationals, but got upset by upset loss against Napier Boys up in Palmy, which I remembered, and I think we beat them by 30 or 40 points earlier that season. They just came out and beat us. And I remember that game, the guy who just stood out was the Higher West. He just dominated us. We had Lima, but that's the game the Higher West really stood out, which really mattered for them. So they end up going through. So they're kind of devastated, but had some great times there.
And in that Wellington College First 15, there was a spectacular player in 2007 by the name of Buxton Popaliti, and he had some physical difficulties later in his career, but he really was something. Share some memories about Buxton Popaliti, because to this day, he's probably the most exciting age group talent I've seen in Wellington. He was unbelievable.
Yes, those kind of still a blur to me because I just immigrated. But I remember Buxton when I started playing with him in 07. I remember we played quad, and he's the player to watch out, the opposition to watch out for. And I remember against Nelson, he kind of just made a line break and, won the game for us. you know, in the last couple of minutes, and then his side steps. Like I remember warm-ups and touch rugby, you just can't touch him. He's going to step off both legs. He's fast, skillful, everything. And it's a shame he didn't really click on as much as he would have wanted. I know he had a bit of a stint with the Highlanders and Otago and Wellington and Sevens. That I thought he had destined to be All Black, but he had a bit of, you know, difficulties and the health and things. So I remember through my years with Julian and Buxton, they were the well-known names in school footy.
So, Reg, you have had a strong connection with the Pōneke Rugby Club. Tell us about how you were lured to the Pōneke Rugby Club and who some of the key figures there. And what do you, since you've finished your professional rugby career, you've been involved back in the club. Tell us about that.
Yeah, when I was at Cole, obviously with Wellington College, all the boys goes to OBU. And it comes to that stage and you got to choose a club. The reason I went to Pōneke is when we just moved, actually my dad's best university mate, he lived in New Plymouth. He lives in Nelson now. But we went to visit him and we met people through him, and their his sons, which is twin brothers, they played for Pōneke, Neil and Barry Mayer. And they said, oh, come watch us play. You know, come. They played Prems, I think, 8. Well, they both loose forwards. And I went to watch them and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And that's the main reason I got lured to the club. You know, there wasn't, obviously following my mates to OBU or I was good mates with Brad Shields at the time, even though he wasn't tied at college, just for the reps and things. So follow him to Petone or, you know, but I decided to go to Pōneke as a different club. I had no mates going there, but I've made some great mates along the way. Yeah. And now I'm back involved with the club, so helping out the Colts the last 3 years. And sometimes with the Colts it's a tough gig, but I love seeing young talent coming through, and you know, some guys really they actually start bleeding for the club, become a real good club men. And my biggest goal for them is, you know, come to the environment, enjoy your footy, make friends for life. I said, in 10 years, 5-10 years time, I want to see you guys play Prems, or be a consistent, you know, Blazer Prem. 20 years from now, I want to see you guys still up in the club having, you know, with your old mates, and in 50 years time, I still want to see you have a beer in the club when you're old man. So that's my main thing, driving through to the Colts at Pōneke at the moment.
What are the biggest challenges coaching the Colts, and what is unique about the Pōneke character? Because going to Pōneke on the occasions I do, it has quite a different environment to the rest of the clubs in Wellington, but it's a very genuine environment. Yeah,
so the challenge is sometimes, Colts boys are probably listening, is sometimes depth. So it's not just in the Colts, it's within, say, the senior first and things. So there has to be, you know, senior first might need a player. So some players might need to go up there, and then there's depth, the shortage on us, injuries, people sick. As you know, in club footy, it's not professional. You have to show up, you know. So if you want to go away for a week on a holiday, say, you know, you're not there, and that's fine. And I understand that as well. Also, sometimes coming with the young factors, maturity. So sometimes, you know, showing up to training, you know, being on time, training hard while you're training, and then enjoying the time after. But I've seen it from the last 3 years. I've seen guys that came in the first year, and guys who's in their final year now. They're different people. You know, they mature more, and they kind of understand the aspects of this ain't school anymore. This is actually becoming an adult. And through Pōneke, there's a lot of, you know, it's a lot of opportunity for career-wise as well. So there's a lot of tradies at Pōneke who owns businesses and construction. So 2 of my Colts boys recently got employed last week, actually, by Tidy Slabs. So there's just opportunity for those young Colts boys, you know, basically going straight into a construction, and could work into an apprenticeship into a decent company, you know. So it's a lot of opportunities outside of rugby for those boys as well.
Let's talk about the Hurricanes. What do you remember of your debut in the early years of playing for the Hurricanes?
Yeah, my first year was, I made the wider squad in 2011, so I just did a pre-season with them. And then 2012, I got selected. Mark Emmett he called me in and he's like, "Do you want to be a Hurricane?" And I said, "Fuck yeah." And he said, "I'm going to give you a contract." And I didn't hesitate to sign it. So I was, my first year in the Canes was awesome. And, kind of good mates with Colsey and Brad Shields. And it was Brad's first year as well. So we lived together, we trained together, did everything together. And then Colsey he wasn't a senior player yet, but he's been there for, about 3 years. So he kind of took us under wing and, he's kind of our guy we looked up to. He's not too senior, but it's a guy we can have a chat with if we need to, him and Jeremy Frush. So their first year was awesome, a lot of learning. But as a young guy going to, to footy, your priority's not always right. It's when I was young, I was 21, I can see also the Pōneke under 21s, it's similar to where I was. And so I had to learn a few hard lessons along the way. Skin folds, fitness, and, learning your core role, caring too much around, kicking balls around before training rather than going to the scrum sleed or things like that. So 2012 we were a young team, so I had a bit of opportunity. Got my opportunity. In 2013, they brought Ben Franks in, senior professional, highly professional player. And there was, in a way, I was young and probably, saying, "Oh shit, they'd signed Ben Franks, this sucks." But then in the same time, in those 2 years he was there, I actually learned so much off him. Wouldn't say I went exactly his path of professionalism. The rumor has it he went to his brother's wedding and didn't eat the food there. He brought his own cottage cheese and crackers, and I don't know if that's a rumor or not. But so I wouldn't go down if I go to a wedding. I'll have a few beers and eat nice food, But I learned a lot of things, showing up early, doing stretches, doing the extras on your day off, the things you focus on mostly. And I sat there, bought my time behind them, 13 and 14. And then 14, I got a bit more game time again. 13, I think I played 20 minutes or so. And then 14, I got a bit more game time. And then 15, got into that starting position for most of the season, and 16. But it's a lot of learnings because you don't know what you don't know. You go into the environment. I actually listened to a podcast today of Colsey and James Marshall. And Colsey actually nailed it. Like when you go into the environment, the only thing is you have to do as a young guy is to earn everyone's respect. And that's through, your training ethic, after training, are you just walking off the field or are you trying to help clean up the cones, taking the post pads off? That's how you earn respect. And I think that's a big thing. As soon as you start showing that, you start becoming a better player and getting better respect. And you get better respect, you get more opportunities as well.
And 2015, 2016, the Hurricanes won serious respect and won the competition in the latter year. What changed about the Hurricanes' culture from when you started to those years? Because the team was out of the playoffs for a long time and then suddenly serious contenders, and then 2016, that wonderful night on August 6th.
So in my Hurricanes career, I had Mark Hammett and Chris Boyden-Plum. So Mark Hammett, Alama, and Chris Boyden-Plum. With Mark Hammett is he had quite a tough year, say 12 and 13, and I think you're 14. But his main objective is build a culture in their team. So the culture you see today in the Canes is what he's basically built. It's a lot of, he brought in mini teams, for instance, and those 4 mini teams are still there today and it's really taken seriously. So, for instance, you show up at the start of the year, the new players in the team, they got to go into the mini team. So we used to do, when I was playing, is, they got to dress up in a fancy blazer and things, and it's like an actual draft. people draft for them into the mini team. And then like it just builds a better team culture, you know, a bit of competitive nature. And you play silly games. You might throw an egg. You can throw the egg the furthest and catching it without breaking. Or, no, it sounds a bit silly, but, you know, you're having fun together as a squad. And with that, a lot of young players came through for his ranks. So obviously with, you know, guys leaving, young players came in, and that's the likes of Bowden, TJ, Artie, Brad, Jeff. A lot of players you see today as being, you know, that's prestigious All Blacks. That's the guys Mark Heyman brought in as young guys and developed them into Hurricane team culture. And I remember they sat down with us, a bunch of young guys, which I was lucky enough to be part of as well, and Matt Proctor. And they call us in, it's like, you guys are the core group. If we're planning ahead for the next 5 years, you guys are the core group who's going to take the squad forward. And they were mostly right, you know. I know I retired early, but the likes of Brad, Causey was actually in that group as well, because he wasn't as old yet. Yeah, Brad, yeah, Bodie, TJ, Artie, yeah, all the senior players you see today. And that kind of paid off in, not fully paid off in 15, but yeah, finally paid off in 16.
That 2015 final, what was different in 2016 apart from the result? Was there a mindset change? Because in 2015, the Hurricanes were expected to win by the vast majority of the public, at least.
Yeah, if we look back, like the week before, we actually played bloody well against the Brumbies. Probably played one of our better games. Everything real well, real technical. Everything we played worked. My exits, everything was perfect. And we came to the Highlanders, and when I played that game, I just remembered from the kick-off, I had to lift Frushy.
That was season.
I had to lift Frushy up, and then the guy just smashed me. I was like, this is physical, and it went so fast, and the Highlanders just brought the physicality and line speed. We couldn't get our ball wide. And they dominated us that day, and we just, you know, I felt like we prepared well, but obviously, you know, the All Blacks prepared well, say, against England, but at that day, England just, you know, Highlanders played a perfect game, and we could have matched them. And then 16, well, first 2 games of the season was poor. We lost by 30 or 40 points against the Brumbies, and then lost against the Highlanders the week after. And I remember we said when the Chiefs won it the first time, they lost their first 2 games, and we could still win this. And I think with 16, it all clicked together. Personally, it was when we played the Lions in South Africa, and we started working on this line speed defence. That's the first time we actually nailed the defence to a max. We brought this line speed. I think just make teams make errors. So brought this line speed, they just make errors, intercept, try. I think we blew them away by 30 or 40 points in Johannesburg, and they were a decent team that year. And I think that's where we took our defence forward, and going into the, you know, that last, you know, block of games, we had to win bonus points and things in the quarter, semi, and final. Our defence won us the games rather than our attack.
Yeah, that defence in the final was just outstanding, but that started from the second half against the Crusaders. That defence, pretty much no tries were scored for the rest of that final series, which is an outstanding effort. Reg, tell us about Super Rugby Aotearoa, what you thought about it, and what do you think about the Hurricanes, in particular, that infamous win down there in Christchurch?
Yeah, it's I like it. You know, I actually had a talk. I go up to Hamilton quite a bit for work, and catch up with Ross Filippo up there. You know, we also we coach together in Japan, and we always have deep conversations around, you know, the future of rugby and our thoughts on things. He said, you know, with less rugby, there'll be more interest, and that's kind of what you see. You know, I'm actually sitting as a fan. I'm actually looking forward to every game. You know, if the Blues play, you know, like Blues play like Brumbies or the Reds, I won't watch unless I've got nothing to do. but now I'm actually making time. I was like, I'm blocking off that time of my day because I want to watch the Blues against the Highlanders. You can see that in the stadium numbers. I don't know about the TV numbers, but I'm sure they'll be through the roof in New Zealand and will be quite decent overseas as well. So I like it, but at the end of the day, I'm not in the finances of things. So they have money, and I know South Africa's got a big factor on their TV rights, how things would look like going forward. But personally, I hope it's similar next year. And then some sort of playoff games against overseas if you want to get that aspect in.
And your opinion of the Hurricanes season, were you satisfied with the way they played? What needs to change in 2021 to possibly win the Super Rugby crown, whatever form it might take?
I think it was start of the season it kind of started slowly, similar to say what we did in 16, and we actually started playing really, really good rugby, I reckon. Like real clinical. Our defence was good. Our physicality. That's probably the best I've seen us scrum in a long time with Lomax in there at the moment. I reckon he's the strongest tight head scrummager in the country at this time. Everything going well. I know that the Highlanders game was a lapse at the end of the day, and they didn't play their best footy. But if you had to cancel that game out, that last 5-6 games they played, they look like a team that could be anyone in the competition, which they did with the Crusaders and Christchurch. And some great footy played by them. And it's the start of the year. It's a brand new coaching staff. So if you think Jason Holland was a tech coach, he's straight into head coach, which I've seen in last year was quite a different role because it's a lot of your coaching, but he also managing coaches. So he's into that role. Chris Gibbs came in for his first year. Corey Jane's in there. The most experienced coach is Dan Cron. He only does scrums. So it's and then Carlos was there, but not too experienced, but he left a bit early. And then James Marshall actually took over for the back end of the season for Carlos. So it's a brand new coaching group, but the feedback I've heard from the other boys is they're really happy for how it's going. It's a different coaching, mindset of say Plum and Alfie or Jason Holland. It's a bit more relaxed. Plum could be sometimes he'll tell you if you're not pulling your weight, you're like, no, not pulling your weight, dropped. Well, I think Jason might be, might say it in a way that's not as cruel, but then he'll work on this is different how they operate. But both sides are good. You kind of see Jason Holland kind of like if you had to compare him to a Tony Brown and Plum to a Jamie Joseph, that kind of personalities. Yeah.
Well, Reg, it's been fantastic to have you on the Huddy Hui tonight, and great insight into your rugby career. All the best with your Piniki Colts and whatever you do with rugby in the future. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for having me. Awesome.
No worries. Have a good night.
You too. See you guys.
Well, Adam, great insight from one of the Hurricanes' good props over the last decade. In particular, I do remember that game they had the Lions in 2016 where they really did turn it around. And Reg Goodes himself scored an absolute cracker of a try in that match.
Well, the most staggering insight in that interview, Brad, was the fact that Reg suffered 14 official concussions in his career, not to mention the ones that weren't recorded. And the durability and level of excellence, despite those physical disabilities, really is quite remarkable. And how frank of Reg to admit that in a context publicly, which perhaps wouldn't have been permitted when he was playing an absolutely superb Hurricane. Reg Goodes, the anchor of the scrum when they won the championship, and a very considered and thoughtful guy, got out at just the right time. Imagine another one and the consequences that might have yielded. But now he's working in a good, steady job, and the Piniki Colts are an improving outfit, and he's got a lot to give there. And he talked about the importance of going back to the clubhouse and having a beer, enjoying each other's company, having a career outlet away from rugby. Good, sensible, sturdy attributes that we associate with Reg Goodes. Sturdy, I think, is probably the one adjective that we can apply to Reg. Outstanding.
Standing indeed. And of course, Adam, today you were out calling on Huddy Sports audio only, Rongotai versus Wellington College traditional, which has been played on a Wednesday for the first time in quite a while. And Rongotai, for the second year in the row, have beaten Wellington College. Tell us about that game, but in particular for Wellington College, they missed out on the top four last year. And of course, they've had traditional losses as well to Silverstream and St. Pat's Town. And then last Saturday, an upset win by St. Bernard's College, beating Wellington College 26-20.
That's the first time I've heard that from you today, Brad. St. Bernard's beat Wellington College. He's absolutely delighted. 2001 was the last time prior to this year. Brad, the head of social studies, not the head of the rugby department, so don't panic, first 15. Fantastic win by Rongotai College today, 27-20. There were 5 lead changes and 7 tries in this afternoon's game. Despite the greasy conditions, Rongotai had an obvious size advantage in the forwards and utilised that occasionally, but their real discipline invited Wellington back into the game. Wellington very structured and very brave in their defeat, but ultimately overrun by Rongotai, who had an outstanding centre, Tuila Epa, who scored 2 really outrageous tries, both from well past halfway. Wellington College in a pickle, Brad. 4 losses in a row now. They've had a tough start to the season, playing 3 of the top 4 sides, but they've still got to play Scots, who've scored 250 points in 4 games, and things looking grim for Wellington in terms of guaranteeing their position in Premier 1 next year. The top 4 automatically qualify for Premier 1 in 2021, but if you're outside of that top 4, then obviously you have to go through the grading games.
That's exactly right. And of course, we've seen some very talented players coming through First 15 rugby this year. It's interesting the fact that Scots put 50 on Rongotai in the weekend. So an excellent bounce back by Rongotai College to beat Wellington.
Yeah,
Rongotai College as well.
Yeah, Rongotai have a very big forward pack, and they've got First Five, who has been with them from France for a brief period. He actually returns home today. Scots, of course, the reigning champions. They've won 15 games in a row in the Premiership now, and they retain the essence of their roster last year. Lost their 2 star backs in Roderick Solo and Ethan Webster Nonu, who we've seen playing Premier football for Auries this year, but their number 8 is extremely strong and powerful, and they've got 2 flying wingers in Lawson and Hammond, who have completed a lot of tries this year. It would appear to be a 3-horse race in Premier 1. St. Pat's Town, explosive forward pack, stunned by Silverstream in the first game. Silverstream perennial contenders, very fit with 2 exceptional players, Toby Crosby and Riley Higgins, who scored another 2 tries on Saturday. And Scots, the defending champions, with their considerable brilliance and budget, have been very strong in 2020.
The Transit First 15 Wellington Premiership will certainly be exciting, and I'm interested to see which 2 teams make the final, but the gap with those top 3 teams is very close. Of course, speaking about former First 15 players, leads us into club rugby this weekend, and of course, Swindale Shield. It was like Fort Knox trying to get into the polo ground last Saturday when we called the women's final. Of course, we were met by Tank. He did a fantastic job looking after the 100 people that were allowed in there. But it was quite surreal, Adam, really having to go through a bit like Checkpoint Charlie to get into the ground and only seeing only 100 people there. It was quite surreal.
Well, there was only one checkpoint at the polo ground, and it wasn't Charlie. It was Tank, who's a familiar face on Allen Street. Not that I know much about that. Tank did a great job in keeping everybody safe at the polo ground. And what a thrill it was to be at the polo ground. Difficult to get in, difficult to infiltrate the Auries defence too for Norse, who finally managed that feat. 580 minutes the Magpies went without conceding a try, but unfortunately for Auries, they were broken through, but it mattered little. Auries won the game by 64 4-12 through 8 games this season. They won by the average scoreline of 69 to 1.5. I mean, how funny is that? 69 to 1.5. Warriors winning the competition. And Isha Letianga, 132 tries in 55 games, subdued first half, 2 early tries in the second, but that was all. But it was the rest of the Auries team that carried the weight. There is sometimes perhaps an unfair perception that Aisha Letianga carries Auries. Not like that at all. Explosive pack. The Taumoli sisters were awesome. Joanna Nungwu, right on the cusp of cracking the Black Ferns again. Tapped the ball a metre out from her try line, ran to halfway, northern touchline, got tackled, almost died, she'd run so far, recycled the ball, and it went on the other side. And Bernadette Robinson, sitting on the reserves, for God's sake, she's in the Pride, and she scored a try from halfway to crack the half century. The Auries woman, Brad, I say this in all sincerity, and you've been watching club footy as long as I have, one of the best teams in any grade that I've seen in the last decade. Unbelievably good. Power, pace, precision, and 69.5 or 69 to 1.5 or whatever it is, that says everything you need to know about the Auries woman.
They're just an incredible side, Adam. They really should win Wellington Team of the Year because they were just that good. And even though they have players like Alicia Letianga, they've got a team right from 1 to 22 that can come on and do the job. Well, of course, Level 2 is still in effect pretty much. And, of course, we're out at Neanville Park this Saturday, Adam, on the Etu Whanau Footy Show on Tia Puka Otiika, 11:61 a.m. And we are calling the game, which is the top of the table clash, believe it or not, Old Boys University versus Petone at Neanville Park. Of course, a few weeks ago, we probably wouldn't think that Petone would have been up there, but they've had a good run, and there's been a few upsets in between. But this is a really important game for both sides, more in particular for Petone, because they are heading into a tough stretch heading to the end of the Swindale Shield rounds.
A month left in the Swindale Shield, and Petone finished with Old Boys University, Norse and Tawa. Norse, if the Hurricanes return, could be incredibly powerful. TJ Perenara, Jackson Garden Bishop, and Duplessis Karifi, just to name 3 individuals that could possibly bolster their already very strong Norse roster even further. Norse have won the most games consecutively with 7, but Petone have won 6 in a row, and 4 of them by less than 10 points. And in fact, Petone, but for one bounce in round 2 against Wainuiomata at William Jones Park, could be undefeated. And the key to the Petone success this season has been their depth. Incredible power on the bench. Josh Houston Tupou scored 2 tries against his former club, Upper Hutt, on Saturday, and he's been coming off the bench a lot of the time for Petone alongside Mariaki Kafatolu, who's an established Wellington Lions player, Nico Manaina, who's a prop forward in the Wellington Rugby Academy. Petone with considerable reserves on the bench alongside a very strong and experienced and settled starting lineup now. Logan Henry, Piri Peroni, Carden Green. These guys have been around a little while. Old Boys University, though, they have really set the benchmark the last half dozen years. 3 Jubilee Cups, 3 Swindale Shield triumphs. They have an incredibly powerful roster, strong in the set piece. Jonathan Fuimano still delivering the goods. Tame Plumtree's blossoming. And Seamus Langton, this awesome number 8, he scored 10 tries already this year. In the backs, Wes Hooson could return for the students. So that is an intriguing prospect for them. Petone have lost 8 of their last 10 against the Billy Goats. So this is a tough assignment for Petone. And Petone have had a great season, but if they're really worthy of winning this competition, to knock over Old Boys University at Neanville Park would be massive.
It's a massive effort to do so, and Neanville Park is one of the tough grounds to play at, particularly how quickly it chews up if we get a bit of rain over the next few days, Adam, like we had today. Well, of course, yesterday, Adam, the North-South teams were released for the fixture that is supposed to be played at Eden Park on the 29th of August. However, it may not be at Eden Park, so there goes my Air New Zealand flights. But there's a real possibility the game could be played in Wellington. Who knows? Okay, it may be when the Prime Minister announces on Friday the game will still be at Eden Park, which I'll be quite happy about. But the teams came out and there were some surprises, in particular the North Island team.
Yes, there were some intriguing selections in the North Island roster. The prop forward situation, perhaps not as strong as the South Island. South Island with established props like Joe Moody, whereas the North Island had rather unheadline-like talent. Fraser Armstrong, with the greatest respect to Fraser, he was in the Chiefs and they struggled this year. The halfback choice was interesting as well. Tapu Rangi has hardly played a game this season.
I don't think he's played one at all, has he?
Where's he suddenly resurfaced from? But he was in the North Island team, of course, a very good player in All Black, but perhaps not there on merit, perhaps selected on past reputation. But
it's interesting you say about halfbacks, because Murray Mixted, during when this team came out, actually said that the best halfback in the competition's on the team.
Yes, Murray Mixted, very praiseworthy of Jamie Booth. Jamie Booth, the reserve halfback for the Hurricanes. Obviously, Perenara, the captain, well-established All Black, had a strong season, but Booth scored a try against the Highlanders on Saturday and made every minute count for the Hurricanes. He's got a whip-it pass and searing speed. His improvement throughout the season was monumental, and alongside Finlay Christie, who could tell them apart, those two young guys who look like Charlie Brown, perhaps two of the better halfbacks in New Zealand at the moment.
Now, of course, there's Sam Cane is out, but it's good to see guys like Lachlan Boshier get a chance. Of course, you've interviewed Lachlan Boshier before. It's a real opportunity for him to fight for that 6th jersey in the North team, and maybe if we have Test rugby later in the year.
Well, Lachlan Boshier is a product of New Plymouth Boys High School. He's a dairy farmer, and so was Sir John Graham, and so was Graham Murray, and so was Reuben Thorne. So that's pretty good lineage for Lachlan Boshier, whose younger brother Callum is also in the Chiefs and played under-19 cricket for New Zealand. Boshier, really one of the few joys to emerge from the Chiefs season. I read that in Warren's book too. And Boshier is such a robust defender. He carries well, and really New Zealand, an abundance of loose forwards. Hoskins Satutu had an exciting year.
He certainly did, yeah.
Kira Ioane is showcasing explosive form. So I don't think there's much apprehension about the loose forwards moving ahead in All Black rugby. Where there are areas of concern, perhaps, though, is in the locking department. I was staggered to see James Blackwell omitted from the North Island team. He had a tremendous year, James Blackwell. And also the midfield, not looking so secure yet. Nani Lamapi injured for the North Island-South Island game. Surely he's the best 12 in New Zealand now. Anton Leonard-Brown, not quite in vintage form. Jack Goodhughes, a good player, excuse the pun. But the midfield, perhaps not as imposing as Martinonu and Conrad Smith.
The other surprising selection really is Bryn Hall missing out. He had a good season with the Crusaders as the starting halfback. That just shows that there's a whole lot of talent in the halfback jersey at the moment. In particular, Aaron Smith, who finally, in the last few rounds, came to light. Back to what we know of Aaron Smith.
Well, 150 games now for Aaron Smith in the Highlanders jersey. He's not even 30 years old, so he could crack 200 games. Aaron Smith really has set a benchmark for halfback play in New Zealand, which hasn't been usurped, and is probably in a different stratosphere to just about any other All Black over the past century. Truly one of the greats, Aaron Smith. If Perenara's pass was half a second quicker, he'd be a champion player of even greater repute in his time. Aaron Smith in top form. Halfback is a position that looked a little bit ropey underneath Perenara and Smith in 2019, but there are a number of contenders who have emerged, and Tahurea Rangi is still relevant.
Well, yeah, that's rugby selections for you, Adam. But anyway, that is the Huddy Hui for tonight. Fingers crossed that it might be level 1 in Wellington by Saturday. Who knows, Adam? It'll be good to have supporters there. But if it is level 2, tune into the Itchy Whānau Footy Show at 2 o'clock. Game kicks off around 2:45 on Te Puka Otaika Old Boys University versus Petone, the top of the table clash. And all the best to all the other teams that are back out on the paddocks this Saturday and also apparently Friday night. Ciao for now.